Hi guys, welcome to Unit 5, Lesson 7, Graphing Equations. Alright, I love graphing. I don't know why, but it's always been, even like when I was your age, I loved doing it. So, but I guess that's just the math teacher in me, maybe. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about graphing in something called slope-intercept form, okay? And what it does is it relates the slope of a line to the coordinate pairs that are on it, plus where the line crosses the y-intercept, okay, or the y-axis, which we call the y-intercept. Now this form, so far we've only looked at it as this. We've only looked at it as y equals slope times x, but now we're adding in the y-intercept. And the reason why we haven't looked at it with this yet is because every graph that we've seen goes through the origin. Oh goodness, I have the hiccups. Goes through the origin. And so this would be 0, 0, right? It crosses at 0, so we don't need to put it, right? We don't need to say plus 0. So that's why we haven't seen it like this yet. So now we're moving beyond the origin and graphing other lines as well. So let's get into some examples. And number 1 today comes from number 3 on your practice. So they gave us this graph, and it says write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Well, first off, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. That is probably just going to get ingrained in your brain. You're going to remember it forever. Okay, you're going to say it over and over again. Now, the y and the x, they just hang out. They stay the same. What we're looking for are the slope and the y-intercept. Now, the y-intercept, that one's pretty easy. It's actually already labeled on here. It's where does it cross the y-axis? So that's this. Now, if it's crossing the y-axis, that means its x value has to be 0. Okay? So it's just whatever value it crosses the y-axis on. So in this case, it's -2. So instead of saying, I could say this. I could say plus -2, but when there's an addition symbol right next to a subtraction symbol, we just write it as subtraction. Okay? So far, we've got that, but we're still missing our slope. Well, remember, slope is the change from the y value, the change of the y value over the change of the x value. So in this case, what we can do is we can take the 2 points that we are given and find the change. And remember, we can think of it as rise over run, right? Rise over run. So from this point to this point, we go up 2, 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3. So we rose up 2, we ran 3. So, and that can't be reduced. And so that is our slope, 2/3 x minus, okay? And that would be your final answer. Y equals 2/3 x minus 2. Okay? Number 2 is number 5 on your practice. Given the equation y equals 3/4 x minus 2, what is the y-intercept? Write your answer as an ordered pair. Well, y-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, with b being the y-intercept. So in this equation, it's -2. Now, just like, look at that, we already have an example of that right here, okay? But if we're going to write it as an ordered pair, well, your ordered pair is always like an x value and a y value. We know our y value is -2, and if it's the y-intercept, or where it's crossing the y-axis, our x value is always going to be 0. So this right here would be your final answer. And don't forget your parentheses, okay? Okay, last one for today, number 3 on your quick check. Graph the linear equation. Y equals -3x plus 2. All right, so with this, what I always do is I always start with my y-intercept. My y-intercept is a +2. So on my y-axis, I'm going to find +2, and keep in mind we've got 1, 2, 3. This will be -1, -2, -3. Hopefully that sounds familiar. But so we're crossing at +2. Now, our slope is -3. Now, we can write it as a fraction because we can think of it as like our rise over our run. And one reason why I chose this is because of the negative, because I wanted to make sure that we looked at that and thought about it. So -3/1, if I have a -3 slope, that means from reading it from left to right, it's going to look like it's going down. So -3, that means I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go to the right 1, and I can plot a point. Now, I can plot one more point. That's always good measure. 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1 right there. And then if you want to use a ruler or something, you can. I don't have one on me, so mine's not perfect, but it would look something like that. All right, so if I remember correctly, on yours, you're going to look for the one that looks like that. They're going to give you different graphs that you can choose from. All right, as always, let me know if I can be of more help, and otherwise have a wonderful day.